In a so-called free state, officials and stakeholders concoct solutions to problems often created by other bureaucrats and with little regard for infringements on the people. These stories are born at the apex of freedom and entrepreneurship. We foolishly advocate for the taxpayer. Brian's Beat presents Freedom Fools.
Hour 3 of Freedom Fools on WBSM. Did I hear the Newark airport is called Liberty Airport? Very interesting. Let's get it cranking. 508-996-0500. Back for hour number 3, the Brian's Beat quote of the day. Education is the key to unlock the golden door of freedom. Education is the key to unlock the golden door of freedom. That quote from George Washington Carver, a very, very influential man in U.S. history. I told a few people that were holding, I said, don't hold through the news, just call back afterwards if you want to get on and talk about this whole thing dealing with Mayor Baraka, Ras Baraka. There's the one side of the street, the Trump side of the street, and I don't want to make it sound like it's only Trump. The interim U.S. attorney, she was the one that had to write the statement and release the statement. Alina Habba, Habba, is the author and the interim U.S. attorney for the state of New Jersey. She wrote yesterday, the mayor of Newark, New Jersey, Ras Baraka, committed trespass and ignored multiple warnings from Homeland Security investigations to remove himself from the ICE detention center in Newark, New Jersey this afternoon. He has willingly chosen to disregard the law. That will not stand in this state. He has been taken into custody. No one is above the law. Now, that is her statement. I'm not sure if she was there at the time. But I do know from the video that shows from before Ras Baraka was put in custody to a lot of the hey, ho-hoing that was going on. And there was no hey, ho-hoing. It was like, let him go. Don't do this. And then prior to that, why are you guys coming out from behind bars? I mean, I think we've got it recorded here somewhere. So let me see if I do indeed have it.
They're talking about coming back to arrest you.
Okay. I stopped it there intentionally. You heard the person, I'm not sure who that person was, of authority, but you heard him say, they're coming back to come and arrest you. They're coming back to come and arrest you. Now, I want you to hear what the mayor says in conjunction to that.
They're talking about coming back to arrest you.
Going where? I'm not on their property. They can't come out in the street and arrest me.
I agree with
If you come out, we're all getting arrested.
Let them try. Get us off. No, I'm not going nowhere.
What are you? Stay back. Stay back. Stay back. Everyone stay back. You are out of control. Shame on you.
You can digest that any way that you would like to consume it. He was not, as you can tell, he wasn't on the property. He knew he wasn't on the property. The other person speaking to him, who was some type of liaison, knew that he wasn't on the property. And your eyes can see. Look for the video yourself. You don't have to believe me. Look at the video. He was definitely off the property. They surrounded him, grabbed him, handcuffed him, and brought him onto the property. And so I think it's disingenuous of the interim U.S. attorney for the state of New Jersey to say that, he may have committed trespass at a particular time, but he left the property. And she writes, Ross Baraka committed trespass and ignored multiple warnings from Homeland Security investigations to remove himself from the ICE detention center in Newark, New Jersey this afternoon. That's a lie. That is a blatant lie. Now, maybe at a particular time he said, no, I don't need to remove myself, but he did remove himself. And then they came out and got him? For what reason? Again, this is an ICE detention center. It's supposed to be for people that are here illegally and preferably criminal illegal aliens, not for U.S. mayors who are not obstructing their business. And you might say, well, how do I know he wasn't obstructing their business? Because he wasn't on their property at the time. They came off their property. Again, don't believe me. I don't want you to believe me. I want you to look for yourself. I want you to look at the videos, multiple videos, because a lot of people had their phones going. And it's up there on the internet for folks to see. Now, if they can do that to a U.S. mayor, what does that mean for the yous and me's? What does it mean if one of our state representatives doesn't like what's going on and protest, and they're being peaceful? Handcuff him or her and take that person away? Is that what we're supposed to be about here in the United States of America? Now, what I find interesting, I said this earlier, I don't expect you to hear every minute of every show that I do. But I said this earlier. I believe that Mayor Baraka was targeted in this particular case for, they want to make an example out of him. Your guess is as good as mine as exactly why they want to make an example out of him. But the reason why I'm saying this, okay, so you've got this guy in custody. Who knows what happens to the other folks that are in custody? But this is what happened to the mayor of Newark, New Jersey.
They treated me pretty well, so a lot of respect for those guys in there. But at the end of the day, we didn't do anything wrong. We're not asking for anything that's incorrect. We ask them to obey our laws, to obey the policies and rules here in the city and the state of New Jersey, not to run roughshod over the Constitution of the United States.
That's what the mayor is. Now, is there a bit of showman in all of this? I won't argue that. I would expect that from the mayor of any major or large city. I would expect that of governors. I would expect that of state reps, state senators, U.S. senators, U.S. congresspeople, presidents. I mean, we see it with the president all the time. I expect it. And so do you. By now, we know what to expect. I did not expect that we would get to the point where a mayor who is not on the property is getting detained. Now, my guess is these charges will be dropped. That's my guess. As I said before, I believe this was more to make an example, to show the yous and me's, you better not, or look what will happen. In fact, I don't think I'm the only one that thinks that way.
3 members of Congress like this and a mayor, the mayor of the largest city in New Jersey. They will treat anybody any kind of way. They are. Each and every day, they are treating people with no respect, no dignity, and they are reckless and unhinged. And we will not stand for this. Right now, we want our mayor released. Right now. Right now.
Well, the mayor did get released. It wasn't right now, but it was not too long. It wasn't anything like he was detained for 3 or 4 hours. He was released a couple of hours, and to the point that I was trying to make before, he was doing the TV circuit. He was telling his story, and rightfully so. You know, the cameras are out there, all the networks. They wanted to talk to him, and I get it. I mean, this guy was thrown into an ICE detention center. You know, it's not like the New Jersey police came out to arrest somebody for trespassing, considering he wasn't. You know, I've gone down this road. You know how I'm seeing this. You know how I feel. I am scared for our country. 508-996-0500. Thank you. Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm winging. How are you?
Wicked and winging. I like that. You know, I was listening to a gentleman just a while ago about, you know, the guy's a victim and all that. And I watched a bit of it. You know, they busted through the crowd, went through a lot of people to get to him and took him out. But, you know, I don't hear these people calling up and, you know, when they took over the Capitol and destroyed it, trespass, you know, try to stop the count and all that. And these, you know, the same people that call this radio station, those are the guys that say, oh, well, you know, they were invited in. They make all these excuses for them. They get put in jail. A lot of them pleaded guilty and said they were wrong and did what they did and they deserved to be punished. Still were let out of jail. And then you get these people I listen to on the radio like, you know, what's not good for the goose is not good for the gander, right?
Mm.
It doesn't make any sense to me. I mean,
none of this makes sense.
I'm all for if you commit a crime and you're arrested, you know, due process. Everybody should be treated fairly, and a crime's a crime, and nobody should be let off because of who they are. But that goes for everybody. You can't make excuses for one group and then not for the other. You know.
I agree.
Stuff like
yes.
This happens, when stuff like this happens, they always go like, "Hey, you know, he's going to play a victim and all this other stuff." How come you're not saying that about all these people that did what they did on January 6th? I do not fathom why people think that way. You know,
I think not to speak for those people, but I do believe, and I've listened. They think that the punishment was harsher than the crime.
Well, even if so, okay, even if some of the punishment was harsher than the crime, the bottom line is that happens on a daily basis. If you see people that will go as bad as murder, right, and they're found guilty and they're given 15 to 20 years, and then you get another person that does the same crime and they get life. I mean, do we say, well, his life's better than the other ones, or do we say, well, you know, the crime is too harsh for the guy that got life, or not enough for the guy that got 20? I mean, that happens on a daily basis. I
think it does, and I think that's one of the pillars of our judicial system, because each case has its own merits, and you get your own jury. And then the judge, if there's a sentence to be pronounced, the judge has guidelines and can make the decision based off of the guidelines. That's one of the beauties of our system.
Well, you know, you're right about what you're saying. I'm not going to disagree with you there.
All right, man. Hey, thanks. I do appreciate it. 508-996-0500. I do appreciate your patience. Hello.
Hey, Brian.
Hey, Brian.
How are you on Freedom Fooling?
Fooling with the
Because
freedom.
I think we're being fooled, tricked, hoodwinked.
How?
This mayor from New Jersey,
Yes.
he said he'd go to jail to protect the migrants from going to being deported to where they came from. This is nothing new. This guy has been fomenting problems and anarchy. He's an anarchist.
So when did he say he would go to jail for them?
I've heard that. I heard that on the news
When did he say it?
weeks ago
Weeks ago.
on the radio.
He said that weeks. What station? On this one?
I heard on the radio. I flipped the dials on the radio.
I got to find out where this this happened.
Look into it. You know.
Yeah.
We're being bamboozled and lied to by communist Democrats. They want this world to go, this country to go into chaos, and they're using this whole thing with immigration to bring our country down. So communism will be the governing the government. They want a communist government.
So let me ask you then, if that's what the Democrats are doing, then what are the Republicans doing?
Some of them are not doing enough to defend our nation. They let this happen too. You know why?
Yeah, but why aren't they stopping laws that are being broken right now?
It's all about the money, Brian. Cheap labor. These people coming in. The Democrats want the votes. Our country's been going down and down by both of these parties. They've sold us out. And then Biden, when he was in office, and some of the other, even Bush Jr., paying for these people to come over using taxpayer money, billions and billions of dollars to the United Nations. I've mentioned this before, and now we got all of these people here, and then and now we got this problem, and then they're exhausting all our resources. Our veterans are not being taken care of. Our elderly are not being taken care of. Are disabled, and they're just giving it away to all of these people that they let come in.
So let's look at it from what you're just saying. Do you realize that the Trump administration is about to let a bunch of white South African refugees into our country?
That's not right.
About 12,000?
That's not right.
Complete asking for a whole bunch of benefits, such as housing, household items, basic necessities for their first 90 days, groceries, weather-appropriate clothing, diapers, formula, hygiene products, prepaid phones with your tax dollars.
I don't agree with that, Brian. You know, under Joe Biden, 20 million illegal aliens crossed the border, and from 140 different countries. You mean to tell me we don't know if there's terror cells in our nation and Joe Biden under his watch, and nobody seems to give a darn?
Oh, I don't think people don't give a darn. Maybe the higher echelons of government don't care, or they do care because they like what's going on. But I think people care. I think our local police care. I think our state police care. I think our politicians care. But how you go about rectifying the problem? You have various different ways that are going on. Yeah, I think they care one way or the other because eventually they are up for re-election. So yes, I do think that the politicians care. Now, does it mean that they're going to do what's right by the people? Not necessarily, but it doesn't mean that they don't care. I do appreciate the call, 508-996-0500. Yeah, all the effort to stop folks that are already here and then declare them here illegally and asking them to self-deport, maybe even paying them $1,000 and a plane ride to self-deport. Our president, I don't want you to believe me. I'm going to read it right here from CBS. We know this happened because I saw the president sign the executive order. Back in February, President Trump issued an executive order directing officials to use the U.S. refugee program to resettle Afrikaners. Afrikaners, if you don't know, are the ethnic group in South Africa made up of descendants of European colonists. Most of them come from the Netherlands. President Trump claimed that Afrikaners faced, and here's the quote, government-sponsored race-based discrimination, citing a law that U.S. conservatives like South African-born Elon Musk have said allow racially motivated seizures of land owned by white South Africans. Now, reading directly from the CBS story here, South Africa's government has strongly denied any land confiscations or racially motivated discrimination. That's from the CBS story. I have watched these stories unfolding on YouTube, better from South Africa's news channels. South Africa's news channels. And not only has the president of South Africa denied that that's what his bill, his authorization claims to do, those in the South African parliament on both sides, because there are a lot of elected people and a lot of disputing going on, and many white South Afrikaners that are a part of the parliament, they claim that what the president of the United States has stated isn't correct. And so there are roughly 12,000, not 12 million, not 100,000, but 12,000 white South Africans coming in under refugee status. They should be arriving within, won't even take a month. So people that have some type of visa are being told that you got to get out of here. And people who aren't going through a land grab, so to speak, they're being allowed to come in. I got to tell you, it paints an awful picture. It's not a picture that I want to just blatantly come out and say, look what's going on in our country. You thought it was over, but it ain't over. That's not what I want to say. Not that I would wish that these so-called refugees were actually going through some type of turmoil in order to qualify for refugee status. But I do have to say this. If these are white South Africans who are worried that their land is going to be confiscated, what did they do with their land prior to coming here? Since the government of South Africa is, we're not doing that. They've laid down their parameters. Their parameters aren't anything compared to what the president of the United States said in that quote, government-sponsored race-based discrimination. That's what your president and my president has come out and stated. Whites and blacks in South Africa deny that's what's going on. So, if the parliament, if the president of South Africa are correct, and these people were landowners, because otherwise, if you're not a landowner, you don't have to worry about your land being confiscated. What happened to the property? Because I have a vision here. It's not a pretty vision. It's a vision that says about 12,000 white South Africans are coming to the United States. They're going to get, for a minimum of 90 days, some type of housing pass, some type of food stamp, SNAP, clothing allowance, diaper allowance, other necessities. And they've got a boatload of money. Some of these white South Africans have the richest farmland in the country. If they were selling it, they'd make a mess of money. And then they're going to come here as refugees? And have the opportunity to live off our dole? Are you okay with that? I mean, if you want other people that are called illegals out of here, how do you call these folks legal? Because the president of the United States says that they are? It's not like our president has been caught in any lies. But this is what's going on. And you know what's even scarier? I'm going to tell you one other thing that's a little bit more scary here. Let's say these Afrikaners come here to the United States and they start looking for work. And they end up getting local government work. Maybe end up being police officer. Freedom to live so I can give. Jimi Hendrix. 508-996-0500. Looks like we're going to get some newcomers. I guess people are okay with it. Had a caller, I think it was earlier. This hour may have been the tail end of last hour, talking about the fact that the president said that President of the United States, we should dispense with habeas corpus. I'm not sure everybody knows exactly what habeas corpus is. I think adults do. When I say adults, I mean people 25 and older. I'm not sure if the process dealing with habeas corpus is actually taught in our schools anymore. So the youngins may not know about it. But if we do away with allowing people to have their day in court in their particular jurisdiction or the closest one to where an incident is known to have happened, then we're tearing away at the fabric, or we are allowing the fabric of this country to be torn away. And I really hope it doesn't come down to, sometimes I wonder if President Trump is really trying to test us to see how far we will let him go, as opposed to, he really means it. He wants to see how United States we really are. And, he is the great negotiator, so to speak. Maybe that's what he's trying to do. Maybe he's trying to negotiate habeas corpus. Maybe he would like to get it to a point, and, my guess is there'd be a lot of people that would agree to this. Maybe he wants to suspend it so it's only good for folks that are U.S. citizens and maybe folks with green cards. Maybe he's trying to negotiate what happens with habeas corpus. That sounds like something he would try to do. He's trying to negotiate tariffs, and apparently not doing the greatest job. Some might say, well, wait a minute, he's gone from 145 down to 80 with China. According to China, they're not sitting there negotiating about these tariffs. So you believe whomever. Look, they may be wrong. They may be trying to make Americans know something different. I don't know. I know one thing. I think habeas corpus is good the way that it is right now. We have an influx of people. Let's process them. Let's get the ones that are criminals the hell out of here. But those that want to fend for themselves, well, let's give them a chance. The Gallego, I forgot his first name, Ruben Gallego. He's a U.S. Senator from Arizona. He says, let's make illegals pay a fine, process them, those that should be allowed to stay in here, give them a work permit. And then you can renew that work permit based on, are they still legal? I shouldn't say legal, but good citizens. Have they not committed any crimes? Are they living up to the fine tenets of the United States of America? 508-996-0500. Hello.
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 Wanging or winging?
Winging.
That's it, huh?
Yeah, just winging.
Okay. Yeah, I know. You point out in no uncertain terms a lot of the things that Trump has done or is doing, and I don't agree with a lot of the things that I see or I hear, because I don't necessarily see what the actual thing that's happening. You hear it through media, but then you don't know whether that's the case or not. So, but I think the thing is that I don't think we should come up short with just Trump, but I think the Democratic Party and the Biden administration had just as many, whether it was lawfare. I can get out. There's a big list of all the things that they did. Maybe they didn't do habeas corpus. Maybe they didn't do, eject illegal aliens. But they did a lot of other things to basically concentrate power.
Oh, I think you're absolutely correct. And I also believe that not only myself, but just about everybody else on this radio station brought that up several times. I mean, that's why we have a change in the White House.
Yeah, and to my, it's funny that this is that time of the year, or I guess twice a year, maybe 3 times a year. I go on Facebook and I'm on there regularly, but there's some people that are friends and acquaintances that all they do is politics, and I just start deleting them or unfollowing because there's a point where, I guess my point is that a lot of people are blaming Trump for a lot of things in the first 100 days. But I have to point out to them that Trump would never have been in office if it weren't for such a crappy Democratic field.
Good point.
And I look, there's things I really like about Trump. There's things I really, really dislike about Trump. Like, I think his communication skills are horrible, and I think that he likes to troll people, but he's the president. He shouldn't be trolling people, because if the president says, "Hey, I'm going to fire some nuclear weapons if you don't, tongue in cheek," yeah, most people are thinking, he's going to take us into war because he's the president. He has a responsibility, and he should have learned that as a CEO. He should have learned that. That's almost as irresponsible as a guy that is a CEO that is, touch and feely type guy, a person that's sexual harassment.
Right.
They don't understand their power, and they decide, well, I can touch a woman if I want because she works for me, and if she doesn't, I'll fire her. Well, he does the same thing with communication. He's like, well, I'm the president. I can say whatever I want. No, you can't. You really freedom of speech is great, but you are the director of the country. So there's a lot of things I don't like about Trump. I mean, I did vote for him, but that's because what do we have left to vote for?
Well, I keep on saying this, and nobody really cares. But there were other candidates, and nobody wanted to pay any attention to them. All it takes are a few people and major media to give people some other coverage, and maybe all of a sudden you got a race. But that didn't happen. And it's not. It's not happening anytime soon.
Well, I'll leave you with this: is that, and I agree with you. And the reason why that's not the case, especially in the major elections, is because, like in a state like Massachusetts, you don't have any balance, right? I mean, you've got pretty much a Democratic stronghold that will. I don't know how it would ever change to independent or conservative candidates or a balance, because it's so out of balance. And so that affects the national elections. If New York and New Jersey and Virginia and California and Massachusetts and most of the New England states are don't have a balance of leadership between the two major parties, it's hard for another party to come in, because you don't have, I don't know what else to say. It seems to me that where the pendulum swings way one direction and then it swings way the other direction, and we're just knee-jerking everything. We're knee-jerking international policy, national policy, because we don't want to do what the other guy did, and we want to do what we're doing even more.
Yeah. Sad reality. Anyway. I think you're absolutely correct.
Yeah. Well, listen, sir, you have a good rest of your Saturday, and thank you.
Thank you. Happy Mother's Day.
Oh, you too. Bye.
Thanks. Bye. 508-996-0500. Before I forget, I just tongue-in-cheeked with that guy. But it is Mother's Day coming up tomorrow, and to all the mothers, I do wish you a very happy Mother's Day. It turns out that the my children's mother and my son's fiance's mother, they're actually celebrating Mother's Day today. I don't know why. I you know what? I think it's one of those things. I'm not really supposed to know why, because otherwise it would have said, "Hey, you want to celebrate with us?" But nobody did. But at any rate, to them and to all the other mothers, happy Mother's Day. 508-996-0500. I guess I should wait to see what is going to happen with this case in New Jersey. But I look back over some of the cases that were finally adjudicated this past week. Rumesa Ozturk, yesterday, she was released from the Louisiana detention center that she was in. That's the tough graduate student. She was finally released after several weeks. April 14th, I believe, was the day. No, maybe that was. No, I think she was in for 6 weeks. Something. But think about that. For writing an op-ed, it's not like she was walking around with a blowtorch saying, kill all of any group. She co-authored an op-ed. Now, I don't know how much she wrote of it, but her name is affixed to it. The only thing that I can fathom is the fact that she got singled out because she was the most vulnerable, at least under the guise of this administration. She's here on a visa. Visas can be revoked by the Secretary of State. Maybe the other people are U.S. citizens. And so they didn't go after the other folks. They just went after Rumesa Ozturk. Again, there are 4 or 5 signatures. If you read the letter, you would know this. Letter to the editor of her school newspaper. Anyway, she was released. The guy from Tallman Street, Juan. I'm not sure if he has been released as of yet. I have not followed up with Attorney Sniffen. But as of, he got his get out of jail free card because the government didn't bother to prosecute a case. Not only did they not prosecute a case, they didn't file charges. And you know why? You know why? Because when they got him in, this is me talking. When they got him into that detention center and they fingerprinted him, they found a fingerprint match of Juan, not Antonio. And they realized, if they didn't realize it before, they realized it at that particular time. Damn it, we got the wrong guy. And so the prosecution, the federal government, Homeland Security, they did not say a damn word in that courtroom. Not a word. And Attorney Sniffen gave them an opportunity to do so. The judge gave them an opportunity to do so. They did not. And the judge said, this case is dismissed. And wouldn't you know it, after it's dismissed, Homeland Security, ICE, the feds were still holding that guy when Attorney Sniffen was on the program Thursday evening and Friday morning. This paperwork hadn't been, it's dismissed. What paperwork do you need? You've got the guy. You have his, you know what his real name is. You are the paperwork people. Then you tried saying that Attorney Sniffen had to go through different paperwork. For what? To release this guy. And then he couldn't just be released from the detention center in New Hampshire. He had to go to Burlington, Massachusetts. I'm not going to try to pretend like I know exactly why. But that's what kept him behind bars again on Thursday. Hopefully, he is out Saturday to enjoy the weekend with his family. Mother's Day is coming up on Sunday, tomorrow. For a guy who did not do anything wrong. For a guy who is going through the asylum process and should qualify for asylum with his wife, through his wife and his child. But that wasn't good enough for the federal government. They couldn't just check. They had to smash in the back window, haul both people out of the car, say she's okay, but he's not, and take him away as the attorney is showing up. This is what we are putting up with in the United States of America. And all I can say on this 250th year of the beginning of the Revolutionary War, I don't think that the forefathers would have gone for any of them. Well, the mayor has indeed been released. The message, this is Brian talking, the message is, you try to interfere with us, you could end up being exactly like that mayor and detained for who knows how long a period of time. 57 degrees in Wareham, 59 in Rehoboth, 59 in New Bedford. I'm Brian. It's been a pleasure being with you Saturday. Freedom Fools. We'll do it again next Saturday. And don't forget Monday, 6 o'clock for Brian's Beat. Adios.
Traveling around from town to town. Sometimes I think I'll settle down, but I know I'd hunger to be free. Roving's the only life for me. Adrift in the world is my friend. I'm traveling along the road.